Community management, we've got 4 more kind of essentials, and these last few are more, how do you maintain a good wiki brand? Because like I said, you give a free iPad to people, and I'm sure they will flock to you, even still. But I think the question is, how does that love stay around? I think community managers, certainly at web conferences that I go to, they're probably the most interesting people I meet. And it's because they're very likable and sociable. They know a lot about tech, and they have this innate understanding about customers and people that allow them to bridge what the company is doing online with what their customers are. So if you don't have a community manager right now, I would suggest a 50-50 chance that 2 years from now, somebody, and maybe a different title, will be that community manager for you on the social web. And so we've actually looked at the 15 different roles that community managers do, but certainly what got played back to us recently in a study was, these people are creating that content and keeping you relevant where you are. I think one of the community managers in Toronto here said it best. One of the biggest things as a community manager I can do, Sprouter's community manager, Aaron Burry, said was, I just need to be there when people are either having insight or having problems. And so being there, communicating, creating content is important. And if you're hiring for these people, as much as we love the fact that they're probably technologically proficient and can probably tell a really good story, I've highlighted the 5 things above. Really, it's the soft skills of leadership, diplomacy, understanding customers, and just having a social orientation that allow these people to do a really good job. Life stage, I'll summarize this into a couple of pithy statements. Moderate and look at your stuff every day, report on it, and kind of review what you're doing every week, experiment every 3 months, and any community worth its salt probably needs refreshing after about 2 years. So really tumbling the cards 2 years out and actually positioning yourself for where does the next step come to are probably important life stage concerns. Mike had a great hand to deal with in terms of kind of metrics. Mike, do you want to take us on metrics?
Sure, and Sean mentioned up front, this is a real key area. I mean, you're going to get questions. I mean, what's our ROI on it? And what we talk about in the book is they really go well beyond that. There's a whole chapter on it, and it talks about sales and revenue as one, but also using social media to move people along the sales purchase cycle, and also the after-sale activity. So you can look at things like increased awareness. You can look at greater engagement. How much do you reduce the R&D time? And are you making a closer match with what your customers want? You should, because they're giving you great data all the way through. And the yardsticks, remember, the yardsticks are very different. If people are saying, how many Facebook friends do we have, or how many hits have we had on a website, it's the wrong thing to ask. We're looking at greater engagement, not just merely visits. So we want to be measuring the applause, not the attendance, is one of our favorite quotes. And when you're going about testing things, look at the greatest examples in the strategy you find, not in just your industries, but other industries, and keep trying things. And looking for the best experiments and make sure that the metrics are in place for everybody that's involved with it. And if we move into the next part, we're talking about culture. Remember, the change isn't just for marketing. The culture change needs to happen all the way through the organization. And one of our favorite examples on this is Zappos. I mean, they're a great company that gets it right. They publish, you can see on the slide here, the core values. Their CEO, Tony Tsai, I mean, he has over 1.8 million followers on Twitter. And we got there. He's not just talking about shoes or clothing. He talks about his philosophy of life, and he encourages everybody else in the organization to be involved in outreach. It also makes it very easy for customers to talk about their purchases and talk about their experiences with it. And by the way, if you're ever in Vegas and you're out of money earlier than you thought, we absolutely encourage you to phone them up and go take they have a free tour of their organization. You'll see things like people that are really, really passionate about your work, and the CEO has a cube that's the same as everybody else, the same sort of nutty accoutrement all across through it. So highly recommend it.
And this may be a segue to the close of the presentation. I mean, Charlie Sheen is an anomaly here. I think most of the people have learned recently that the buzz has probably not lived up to his presentation format. It seems like people have been walking out of his stuff, but Charlie Sheen is an anomaly. Please do not follow. And I would say, just generally on the examples we provided in our presentation here, I find a lot of people love the examples because they know those brands and they can actually internalize. Great, I know they're good at that. But I find another group of people love kind of the small brands that we profile in our book, like Maple's Labels or Naked Pizza, and so we didn't necessarily steer toward those large brands. There's, I think, a good balance and mix and stuff in our book. So some key summary thoughts, and hopefully we'll get some questions. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of our book. I'm a big Mad Men fan, so that's Christina Hendricks. But brands, it's okay to flirt. Having good focus, having great language content and outreach, having great incentives and motivation, rules in place, and knowing what tools and platforms are pretty much the table stakes of being a good wiki brand. Making sure that you're around the next year to make sure that you can improve on your wiki brand, having a great culture, planning it out, internalizing it from an employee standpoint, managing your communities well, and making sure you're tracking the right measurement metrics is appropriate. We'll let Oscar Wilde summarize our presentation. There's only one thing in the world worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. And just one stat here. When you go to Facebook, and everybody loves Facebook, and it's now, I guess, valued closer to $100 billion. I think Facebook is a wonderful tool for broadcasting what you're doing. I think it's a wonderful tool for identifying some people and really targeting your efforts to them. What it isn't good at is engagement, and that's where communities and some of the stuff that maybe awareness does actually plays a role. Because if you've ever joined a brand page, and we all have, for about 75% of you, that's probably the last time you ever go back to that brand page again. You want to just kind of socialize on Facebook. And so, the real challenge with a lot of the different third-party environments is how do you create engagement? And a lot of those times the answer is you really got to create some of your own spaces and bring people back to them. So as I mentioned, we do have this community management survey. We'd love to get your insight. I will say it's for people that are hardcore into community because we want to know everything that you know. And this is where we are. So hopefully if we've said anything good, this is one of our last shameless plugs.